pražského povstání.
Well, I think that naturally Europe has a long history of natural fibers, starting from flax, from then hemp. So I think that our know-how might be pressures in the case US companies intend to establish a fiber-based sector.
That's Lorenzo Romanessa, Managing Director of the European Industrial Hemp Association, or EHIA. And this is the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. Hello. My name is Eric Harlock, and today I'm going to introduce you to the people I met on my trip to the EHIA conference in Prague last week. We'll hear about the conference and the issues that the Europeans are facing as they grow their industry, build their markets, and develop their infrastructure. The conference took place June 5th through the 7th. I interviewed a ton of people. Today's show is going to focus strictly on the Europeans that I met. So this is part one. I'll publish part two with my conversations with everybody else. But now a few words about our sponsors. All right, so first things first, I need to acknowledge that this trip was partially funded through the USDA's Market Access Program, or MAPS, which makes funds available to a wide range of commodity crops in order to develop international trade opportunities for American farmers and agricultural businesses. The National Industrial Hemp Council was recently given cooperator status from the USDA, creating new opportunities for folks in the hemp space. I was part of an American delegation that attended the conference in Prague, and I witnessed my American counterparts making connections, exploring business opportunities, and making deals. So, while the USDA MAP program is not directly sponsoring this podcast or episode, it is responsible for getting me to the conference. I am grateful to Patrick Atagi at the National Industrial Hemp Council and Morris Beagle from WAFPA for making this trip happen. So thank you. This week's show is also brought to you with generous support from IND Hemp in Fort Benton, Montana, where they absolutely believe in the goodness of hemp. IND Hemp is a family-owned, mission-driven industrial hemp food, feed, and fiber company, providing new opportunities for farmers in Montana and across the Mountain West. Check them out at indhemp.com. Today's show is also made possible by King's Agri-Seeds here in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, where they supply a whole host of agricultural seed, including industrial hemp seed. King's Agri-Seeds will be co-hosting a 2-day hemp event at 4 different hemp farms this summer. They're all within 30 minutes of the historic hemp fields of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. This is called the Lancaster County Hemp Circuit. Save the date, August 20th and 21st. Learn more or register early by contacting King's 717-687-6224 or by email info@kingsagriseeds.com. This show is also made possible with support from the Pennsylvania Hemp Industry Council, the PAHIC, whose mission is to bring industrial hemp back to the farm, fields, and factories of Pennsylvania. PAHIC has assembled great resources for hemp entrepreneurs and investors to help them navigate this exciting sector of sustainability, including a free toolkit for hemp entrepreneurs to get their businesses investment ready. Learn more at pahic.org.
The KP4 Hemp Cutter, introducing a revolution in hemp harvesting, setting a new standard for harvesting quality, speed, and efficiency. The KP4 prepares hemp for ideal retting and easy on-field tedding, raking, and baling. Easy to maintain and designed to withstand the punishments of hemp harvesting. The KP4 Hemp Cutter, available only at hempcutter.com.
Okay, welcome back. So as you heard in the intro, this is my recap of the European Industrial Hemp Council's conference and expo that took place in Prague, the capital city of the Czech Republic. I was there last week from Tuesday morning to Saturday morning. Was it enough time? No. Did I make good use of the time I had? Yes, I think so. I interviewed over 30 people in attendance at the conference and recorded snippets of various panel discussions. I'm not sure we'll get to everything today. I'm sort of winging it right now, so stay tuned and we'll see what happens. But realistically, this is part one of my coverage of the EHIA conference. I also spent some time exploring the city and talking to regular people, citizens of the Czech Republic. I was fascinated to learn more about the Velvet Revolution that took place in November of 1989. The Soviet Union was collapsing. Communist states in Eastern Europe were declaring their independence and were trying to throw off the shackles of the Soviets. In some countries, there was violence and bloodshed, but the people of Czechoslovakia played it super cool. At first, university students staged a protest on November 17th in Prague, but it was suppressed by the police, but that only made more people show up to protest. By November 19th, there were around 200,000 people in Wenceslas Square protesting the Communist Party. The next day, there were over 500,000 people in the square, shaking their keychains, telling the communists to step down. That symbolic gesture of rattling their keys at the communists sticks with me. I haven't tracked down any recordings of it yet, but just imagine the sound that 500,000 people can make by shaking their keychains. Yeah, so Czechoslovakia was not a member of the USSR, but the one-party communist government was in lockstep with Moscow. Top leadership of the Communist Party of Czechoslovakia resigned on November 24th, and the party itself relinquished power on November 28th, 1989. There is something so inspiring to me about this story. I'm not sure what it is yet. I'm still mulling it over. But I think there's lessons for us here in this story. Like maybe we as consumers need to gather in the squares and shake our keys at the one-party system of greed that is responsible for the carbon in our skies, the microplastics in our bloodstreams, and the rising temperatures of our oceans. But I digress. Or do I? I interviewed a few people about the Velvet Revolution, a man who was there in Prague for the protests in 1989. His name was Slavomir, and he lives in the suburbs of Prague now. So did you go out and shake your keys?
Yeah, definitely.
Can you describe what that sound was like when there was thousands of Czechoslovakians shaking their keys at the Soviets?
Yeah, it was fantastic. Basically, I never thought that it will change anytime in my life, and suddenly we feel that change is possible, and all people are feeling this the same. So it was really, great moment in my life. Fantastic.
Are there lessons that you and your generation learned then that the world can use now?
I think I'm optimistic because based on what I remember from the past, it was, some kind of, perspective very dark and so on. So I'm very optimistic now as well. Yeah, because it was much darker perspective in the past and everything improved. So I feel I'm optimistic that everything will improve. Not only here, even in America and so on. Yeah, so I still believe that there will be better everywhere. And all steps are towards some kind of better and more optimistic future. I'm optimistic.
All right. Thank you so much. Amen to that. Wait, excuse me, sir. Let me give you my card. And I didn't even talk to him about industrial hemp. Wait till he learns about hemp. He's going to be even more optimistic about the future, like I am. I also talked to a group of students, high school students and some university students, not just about the Velvet Revolution and the keys, but also about their thoughts on the environment.
I see change, and I'm optimistic because I'm an optimistic person, I guess. But when I look or when I speak to my parents, I see that they see things differently. They don't care that much about environment. They care more about like economy and money and everything because that's what they've been taught to. And I'm very sad because of that. Because I think they should also think about the future, and it's gonna be our future. So they should think more about our future. And yeah, many people of the older generation don't really see this as a problem.
Yeah, that's why the young people need to start shaking the keys. What do you call that in Czech? The jingling of the keys. What's that referred to? Is there like a phrase?
Just clinging of the keys. Zvonění klíčem, I guess.
Cinkání klíčema.
Yeah.
Cinkání klíčema, to je.
Say it one more time.
Cinkání klíčema, myslím. I think.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think cinkání klíčema. Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, I think.
I agree too.
yeah, it's known from...
So we're all in favor. Say it together. All together. 1, 2, 3.
Cinkání klíčema.
That was Anna, Jan, Adam, and Radek. I started talking to them up on the top of a hill where there's a memorial to a Hussite leader from the 15th century named Jan Žižkov. And thanks to Jeremy Kletke from Davis Hemp Farm here in the U.S. for telling me to go up there in the first place. So yeah, the kids are all right. I am captivated by this story and the people of the Czech Republic. The city of Prague is the capital of Czechia now, but historically it was the capital of the Kingdom of Bohemia. And perhaps it's that Bohemian attitude that made all the difference in 1989. All right, anyway, so I've got a couple of news nuggets for you this week too. So on Monday, I went out to Lancaster County hemp farmer and cover crop coach Steve Groff's farm, Cedar Meadow Farm, where Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro was unveiling a $10 million Ag Innovation Grant program to be included in his proposed budget.
And while it's important to always remember our heritage, to me as your governor, I'm focused on our future. And the future of our economy in Pennsylvania runs directly through farms like this, runs directly through the incredible innovation that's happening here at this farm and others across Pennsylvania.
You heard me mention in the sponsor message a 2-day hemp event in Lancaster County on August 20th and 21st. Steve's farm is one of the stops on that tour. They're calling this 2-day event the Lancaster County Hemp Circuit, and I think it's going to be great. So start planning your trip now. There are lots of great places to stay in and around the city of Lancaster. Let me know if you're planning to attend. I love to connect with listeners at hemp events. And speaking of hemp events, there's one coming up sooner in just about 10 days in Illinois. KIF-Cure's Hemp Building Workshop takes place at the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub, NIHH, in Maple Park, Illinois on June 20th and 21st. It promises to be an unforgettable experience, making a first in sustainable construction in the state of Illinois. Registration for the workshop is open now. Space is limited, so register now. Go to nihh.org. US HBA members receive a 50% discount, and there are free visitor passes available for policymakers, press, and university students with applicable disciplines. All right, anyway, so there you go. A few things to look forward to. Something else you should check out if you're interested in my trip to Prague. Maybe you're not. I don't know. But I'm throwing this out there for you. I wrote a blog while I was on my trip. Yes, it's a Prague blog. I'll put a link to it on the show for this episode, but it's less about hemp and more about my trip and my observations and things like that. There's lots of video and some audio, so check that out. I'll have a link on the show page for this episode. And apologies to my new friends in Europe who are unable to see the content I make at lancasterfarming.com because of EU privacy rules known as GDPR. We're trying to get our site compliant so you folks over there can enjoy the benefits of Lancaster Farming newspaper, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world. Okay, one more thing before we get started. I want to acknowledge Hanna Gabrielova. She was on the show a few weeks ago. She is from the Czech Republic, and she was instrumental in bringing this conference to her home country. I want to personally thank her for her kindness to me and for recommending good things to eat and things to see. So thank you, Hannah. And my advice to anyone visiting Prague, always choose the dumplings and be sure to have a glass of Pilsner. Okay, I think what we're going to do here is just roll the tape, all right? You're going to hear my relatively unedited interviews with folks at the EHIA conference. Here we go.
My name is Hanna Gabrielova. I am from Czech Republic. I am working as a president of the Czech Hemp Cluster, and I also working as a CEO of my own company called Hemp Point, which provides the seeds for the farmers and distributes hemp food and feed materials.
And how is your day one of the conference going for you?
It's going well. It's many familiar faces and many new faces, and people are really engaging and working on the new projects together. So yeah, I'm very happy about that. I think it's important that we do this conference because members can meet at least once a year, face to face, not only on our regular meetings online, and engage and share what they work on and probably figure out some productive collaboration, hopefully. Yeah.
Any surprises or things that surprised you here this year?
Yeah, here are people from Syria, here are people from Iceland. Yeah, it's exciting to see really people from around the world working on the hemp. Yeah, so it's probably not just I'm crazy for hemp and I'm working on that 25 years and it's something unusual, but people really understand the potential of hemp and really wanna do it because it's a good thing to do, yeah. So I'm happy to see more new faces coming, and especially from the places like Ukraine or even from these development countries that they're coming and they want to do stuff.
Hello, my name is Lorenza Romanese and I'm the Managing Director of the European Industrial Hemp Association.
All right, well, thank you for having me here at your conference in Prague. So far, so good. Tell me about the meeting that you just had in there, the members meeting.
Yes, so we are an advocacy association, that we are a membership-based association, so our members are the contributors of our budget. Therefore, twice a year, we meet with them and we report back to them our activities, what we have been doing. As the EHIA, as an association, we covered all parts of the plant, so all outputs markets, so this is why it took 4 hours to go through the entire GM.
Okay, and for you personally, your focus area is the cannabinoid side?
Indeed. So I have colleagues that are in charge of the bottom parts of the plant, the stalk, the seeds, where all the opportunities are. And unfortunately, I manage the issue, the problems. So the upper part of the plants, where all the issues come from, so the leaves, the flower, and the seeds.
There's much opportunity there, though, right?
Indeed, but first, it will be a long path to show the benefits.
What are your hopes, goals, or expectations for the conference?
I hope that people will engage. I hope that people will go back home knowing more than what they knew when they arrived. I hope that people exchange. I hope that they are able to develop business opportunity, because this is a venue that is one of the purpose of the venue as well. And I hope that they enjoy and they had a good time. This is my hope.
Okay. Can you identify one or two areas of the European hemp industry that you feel the American hemp industry could learn from?
Well, I think that naturally Europe has a long history of natural fibers, starting from flax, and then hemp. So I think that our know-how might be precious in the case US companies intend to establish a fiber-based sector, for instance. And then cannabinoids, I think we are more or less equal, but probably our advantage might lay in the bottom part of the plants.
Okay. Are there any aspects of the American hemp industry that you look at longingly or could learn from?
Yeah, sure. We always keep an eye on the other continent to see if there are good ideas that we could copy-paste in our system. And so far, I have to admit that our systems are so different that I have difficulties in finding the bridges or the things that we can copy-paste, because I think that we do have different markets, basically. I think that as well the fact that in most of the member of your states, the hemp and the cannabis are legalized. Here is not the case. And all these dynamics leads to completely different markets. So it's a very difficult question. I would need to think 24 hours to give you a proper reply. But on spot, I cannot find commonalities, especially when it comes to cannabinoids. On your market, there are cannabinoids that are present that we don't even imagine here.
I'll ask you again in 24 hours.
Okay, see you in 24 hours.
What is your home country?
I'm Italian, but I live in Belgium.
Okay. And I imagine you've been to Prague before?
Yes, I've been to Prague. I love this city. I love the energy. I love the buildings. I love the history. Yeah.
All right. So it wasn't a hard decision to make to bring the conference here?
The decision was kind of natural because we tend to travel to the member state that they are a little bit more open in hemp. And there are many things going on in Czech Republic. So for us, it was a natural venue to come, to recognize the existence of our members, to welcome the authorities that will be present during the conference, which is good. So we came here because here things are moving. Next year, we go to Berlin, Germany.
Germany, okay.
We will never go to Italy if we keep going like this. So.
Sure, my name is Francesco Mirizzi and I'm Senior Policy Advisor for the European Industrial Hemp Association, and I cover mostly bioeconomy applications of hemp, so fiber shives, construction material, textiles. And
yeah, you're speaking my language. That's the stuff I'm in it for. I mean, I love the whole plant and all of the applications, but building materials, bioplastics, all of that stuff.
Packaging, paper, textile, they're probably the most promising application of hemp crops. So.
And the world needs solutions to problems, and here is a wonderful solution.
Indeed, the world and also the industries, manufacturing industries need alternative raw materials with the purpose of greening their production, and I believe that hemp has a lot to offer indeed.
Absolutely. So what are some of the strengths of the European fiber industry, hemp fiber?
Surely hemp fiber industry is the eldest brother in the world, let's say, because mostly because of the French farmers and processors, we kept a production in Europe after the Second World War, and we have around Europe something like 7 or 8 big-sized decortication facilities that allowed us to build a market for fiber, mostly dedicated to specific paper application, composites, and especially in the automobile industry, and fibers for insulation material and construction, and shives for construction like hempcrete.
Okay. Do you have a sense of how many hempcrete structures have been built in Europe?
There should be out there the number. I don't have it on the top of my tongue, but you should look at IHBA. IHBA is the International Hemp Building Association, and they have collected a lot of information about building out of hempcrete around the world, and they're also a partner of EHIA and very knowledgeable on this topic.
And there will be some panel discussions over the next couple of days around this.
Indeed, Steve Allen will be moderator of the session on construction materials, and we'll discuss about sort of a status of hemp in construction in Europe, but also around the globe, and how we have been advancing in the past years.
Yeah, good. I interviewed Steve Allen a couple of years ago, so it'll be great to meet him in person.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Are there aspects of the European hemp industry that the American hemp industry could or should learn from?
Well, I believe there is room for exchanges of good practices, technologies, information. In Europe, we have 50,000 hectares. I cannot translate it in acreage.
That's about 100,000 acres.
And they're a bit less in the US, and mostly less dedicated to fiber production. So I understand that fiber production is a bit new in the US, hemp fiber production, but there is a lot of interest, especially for converting from other crops. So farmers are interested in converting, but also processors are looking at hemp fiber as a resource. So I believe there's room for collaboration, and I know there are groups and there are exchanges across the Atlantic on exchange of technologies, investments as well. And I believe that, for example, some machinery producers here in Europe could make good business in the US and Canada.
Right. So it's hard to believe, but there are other places besides North America and Europe. What other places in the world do you see coming online soon as far as hemp building or hemp fiber?
Well, for hemp fiber production, especially for textile, China is by far the biggest.
They're already
yes,
there.
yes.
For textile?
Yes, also because they have the infrastructure, and they can control very well the shift of the production from one crop to another. So it's much easier, for obvious administrative reasons, let's say, to give impetus to an increase of hectares of surfaces of hemp. Other countries, well, I believe that probably India will catch up soon. Hemp the legalization of hemp crop has advanced in some of the Indian states, and I also believe that there's space in South America and in other countries where there is right climate for hemp farming.
Okay. What are some of your expectations or hope for this conference and expo over the next couple of days?
Well, I hope that we can steer a positive discussion among the sector. I'm very pleased that we have a lot of Americans and Canadians participating and exhibiting at the exhibition space. I hope this is the first time that we are introducing booths, so I hope that it will be an occasion for companies to create new business opportunities. And we were doing this before COVID, but then after COVID we started the more like first 2 years of online meetings, and then 2 meetings held in person in Brussels. But it's the first time that we are reintroducing booths. So I believe that there will be more business opportunities and more exchanges. We're also having on the side of the conference the Oregon State University holding a meeting on precisely collaboration between US and Europe on fiber value chain. So very, very positive, very positive.
And that's with Dr. Wu.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, Francesco, thank you so much for your time today. And I wish you good luck in the conference.
Thanks. Good luck with the podcast. Thanks.
I'm Laurie. I'm marketing and commercial manager from La Chanvrière.
Could you describe La Chanvrière for me?
Yes, it's a cooperative dedicated on hemp since 50 years now. So we are 700 producers making all what we can do with hemp.
That's amazing. So you're the largest producer of hemp textiles in Europe?
Until now, yes.
Okay, that's exciting. How has the conference been for you?
Good, very interesting. It's always good to meet all the members and the people involved in hemp.
Any business come from this?
It's not very concrete, but we have good discussion and good contact. So maybe tomorrow in the future, some business opportunity.
Can you mention a few things that the American industry might learn from how you do things?
They are still working on that, and it's still interesting. I think we already share some knowledge, and I think it's good what they do, and I'm sure they will open good company soon.
Yes, hello, I'm Antoine, and I'm the CEO of La Chanvrière in France.
Okay, could you describe La Chanvrière for me?
Well, La Chanvrière today is the oldest cooperative company, hemp industry, and is today the European leader of this activity.
How many farmers are you working with?
We are working with more than 700 farmers.
How do you keep them happy?
We try to answer their demand and for the culture they are making, because this is a passion, and also for the revenue we can bring to them.
How long into the growth process of the plant do you harvest?
What do you mean, how long?
After planting, when do you harvest?
Usually we are planting around April and then harvesting in September.
Okay. About how tall do the plants grow?
Usually it's around 1.80 meters or 2 meters.
Okay. And then is it baled or is it retted? Can you explain that process?
Well, we've got both qualities. Well, it is baled and it is rounded bale. We've got the two processes. We have two kind of crops. The first one is that we are harvesting the grain and then we are cutting the straw to have yellow straw baled. Or we can make red the straw on the soil so that we've got a special quality to be able to go to technical fibers such as textile.
Are the farmers you're working with, are they strictly hemp farmers, or do they grow other crops?
No, they are growing several crops, but for the hemp, they are exclusive with the cooperative.
Okay. And can you talk about the equipment they use for harvesting? If not, that's okay. If that's not your specialty.
I'm not the specialist in agronomy.
Fair enough.
Well, I've got the picture of the material they're using, but I don't know the specific name in English. Sorry.
Okay. Do you have a vision for hemp in the world, or can you describe what the future of hemp looks like?
Well, I would love that hemp would be able to come back to the level he had a century ago, because surfaces were much more important than it is today. I think that the whole world surface is slower than the surface that existed in France a century ago. So it would be a first start to become to a high level. But I'm quite convinced that the market is demanding. So if the industry are able to structure themselves and to do it the right way, we will be able to answer the market within, let's say, 10, 15 years. We need time.
Right. How do you see the U.S. hemp industry playing into what you do?
Well, I think that it has to decide the way it works. The American industry started or jumped on CBD market and then went back because seems that it doesn't work really efficiently. So that's why I told you that they have to choose their strategy about what they want to do with the hemp, and then if this is industrial hemp, I think that the demand is so huge for any market, whatever this is built in textile or even hand bedding, that there is a huge room. So and the States, the United States is a huge country as well. So it will work.
Are you familiar with Damien Baumer and the eReasy spray applied hempcrete system?
No.
Okay. Well,
I know the hempcrete system, but not Damien specifically.
Okay. Well, he's a compatriot. He's French, and he's invented the system that we're using in America. It's a spray applied system, and they import lots of hemp herds to build hempcrete houses here on the east coast of the U.S.
No, I know the spray system, but I didn't know the name. I just arrived 1 year and a half ago, so quite recent, and I don't have whole name in mind.
Fair enough. All right, well, thank you so much, and travel safe.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Sergey Kovalenkov, founder and the CEO of the company Hempire.
And you're in Ukraine building houses?
Yes. Hempire focuses on developing bio-based construction materials, selling it, and building houses with it. Yes.
All right. And yesterday I caught your presentation there, and you said something to the effect of, you people out there, you think you have problems with building with hemp. I'm building them in Ukraine. Tell me, you're up against so much. Like, tell me about that.
Well, I mean, yeah, people make up problems in their mind and thinking they have problems, but in reality they're not problems. They're just questions that have to be resolved on a daily basis. And when you're up against a war, when there are rockets flying above your head and you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, that brings a lot of uncertainty. And those are the type of issues you have to deal with on a daily basis. So, for example, constant inflation, constant danger, the fall of the economy, a lot of money left with a lot of investment projects just stopped instantly. We lost a lot of orders. We were supposed to export our materials to foreign countries, and when the war broke off, we lost all those orders, right? So it's a little bit devastating, but we continue to move forward, and I understand we have a lot of faith in what we're doing, and that's what kind of makes us keep going forward.
Excellent. There was a close call at your offices. Can you talk about that?
Well, it happened in the beginning of January this year. Yeah, the rocket hit the residential building, and we were renting out the office on the ground floor of that building. So, of course, all the windows got smashed out. When the firefighters tried to take out the fire, the ground floor got flooded completely, and we just renovated this place, this office space, a few months before that, like half a year before that. So, luckily there was none of our employees were in the office at that time. It was early in the morning. So, we were just blessed to be alive, and we just keep going forward,
Amen to that. And one last question. Why is hemp the right material to rebuild Ukraine?
Well, it's quite obvious. It's starting to get more expensive to move things around, so logistics is just going to increase in value. So it makes much more sense to use local materials. And if we're growing hemp locally, this is a perfect solution to create energy efficient housing for people that lost their houses, So, it's a win-win-win-win-win-win situation, for the, it has an economical aspect, it has a social aspect, and of course it has an environmental aspect to it, So obviously we're going to continue to rebuild Ukraine with the sustainable hemp-based housing.
All right, Sergei Kovalenkov, thank you so much for your time. It's great to see you here in Prague.
Thank you.
So, hello, could you introduce yourselves for me, please?
Yeah, hello, my name is Jörg Mockner, and I'm the general manager from Temafa company in the third generation.
Okay, and you, sir?
My name is Axel Phillips. I'm the sales area manager in charge of anything that is bast fiber related. I'm with Temafa since more than 30 years in that business and in sales, and busy with that.
All right, I appreciate you're busy, so we'll keep it brief. Tell me, what is Temafa? Explain the company to me and what you do.
Temafa is a machine manufacturer, and we make machines for fiber opening, blending, dosing to the non-wovens industry. And the second department is making decortication lines. The third department is anything that is air handling and dust handling related. These are the three fields that is Temafa working on.
Okay, and how long have you been in sort of the hemp space with the decorticators?
Well, it all started in the early 90s when we developed our Linline machines for flax in the first hand, and then it's switched over to hemp straw decortication. Finally ended up with being the machine suitable for kenaf decortication as well, and now we're back to hemp.
Okay, so in your opinion, are all bast fibers created equal?
It's not exactly the same, but these lines can be modified so they can actually use any sort of these three straw qualities.
Okay, and with the EHIA conference, how is it going for you?
Well, we had a lot of customers and interests and clients here at a tabletop booth, made some 30-40 contacts. We answered all of these questions, and the basic questions that we were asked: what are you doing and how much does it cost?
And what are the answers to those questions?
Well, the answer is we are machine suppliers, we are machine manufacturers, and we can either offer you individual machines to improve existing lines or make quotes for complete decortication lines from A to Z, including all peripheric machinery.
All right. Thank you both. It's great to talk to you here.
Thank you very much.
My name is Otilia Frolu. I'm from Romania, representing here in Prague for the EHIA conference, the Romanian cluster for hemp industry. We are covering the whole value chain in the country, from farming to construction or textile. And our role is to identify gaps in the value chain and try to remediate the gaps with partners here in EHIA and all over the world, technology and research projects.
Okay, from what I understand about Romania, and it's not a lot, you still have a lot of the infrastructure for processing, is that true?
We used to be in top 3 before 1990 as a hemp global producer. But after 1990, the industry, as not only hemp, but all the other industry kind of declined. And right now is a sort of a revival of the industry and especially the interest. And indeed, we have identified some of the old machineries that are still working in textiles, like spinning projects and weaving projects for natural fibers, which we are trying right now to see if we can refurbish and kind of reshape for contemporary use.
Okay. Can you tell me a bit about hemp farming in Romania? Like hectares, how many farmers, just a general lay of the land?
Before 1990, probably the cultivated land was somewhere between 60,000 and 75,000 hectares. At the moment, the land cultivated is probably not more than 5,000. So there is plenty of to
Room
go.
to grow,
Yeah, absolutely. And it is possible. It is very easily scalable, we believe. It's only that we need more decorticating and processing capacity. And it will come because for example, the generation of my parents or grandparents, they are really very familiar with what hemp was, and it can be back in our lives.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about farming in Romania, not hemp farming, just general agriculture.
Well, Romania used to be one of the biggest producers of crops in Europe, probably still is. Ukraine probably is bigger. But yes, there is a lot of agriculture and going on in Romania, yeah, with, of course, the usual crops like corn, wheat, all this sort of barley.
Okay. In Romania, is there a stigma associated with hemp and marijuana? Like, is there a hurdle that you have to get over for people to accept hemp?
I don't. Well, probably there is some stigma when people are talking about marijuana and considering as a drug. But when also there is a lot of people knowing that hemp is also industrial sort of industry and talking respectably about it.
Yeah. Is climate change a big issue for young people in Romania?
For young people in Romania, well, I'm not sure how to answer this. I would say that Romania is probably only very recently starting to feel climate change. So I would say that no, I don't think that is still there. Okay. It is yet there.
Okay. All right. Well, Otilia, thanks for talking to me.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We are Stefania and Pavlos.
And you're from?
Glostiki Limited. It's a small company located in Cyprus.
Okay, in Cyprus. Say the name of the company again, please.
Glostiki, as in Greek for hemp.
Oh, okay. And tell me about the company.
So as you recognize from the name hemp, the main reason why we've been founded was to reinstate hemp for industrial purposes back to its old glory in Cyprus. It used to have very big, used to play huge significance in people's lives. It was a huge industry.
For textiles, for food, or how?
Textiles. Yeah. Yes, now we have welcomed the alteration of the law regarding production. That was in 2016. Okay. So we haven't seen it yet taking place.
So you still cannot grow hemp in Cyprus?
You could.
Still can, but there's no push from the government or something like that.
Right. No incentives.
That's why Glostiki going to play the role and educate the customers, the farmers, so we can do it because we know other people, they already do it in other countries, we just...
So basically, yes.
Yeah.
So basically, we're here to see what kind of new input we can bring back home, so that we can really make it more approachable and more easy accessible because that will be the solution to everything, basically.
Can you tell me about agriculture in Cyprus?
In Cyprus actually is considered as main industry to be agriculture, and although this is our main industry,
also there hemp can be a solution for animal feed, because whatever is left over we can go to feed the animals. So by feeding animals hemp, there's no antibiotics. So it's also a solution of the waste of what we're going to grow.
Right.
Although this is our industry, nevertheless, the percentage of new farmers is very, very, very low. And considering as well all this thing with climate change, the new Green Deal, hemp, it plays a huge part in this.
It's more attractive for a new farmer to come out, because from the age of 45, we still consider a new farmer. So you can change your life growing something more interesting than a potato or a tomato.
What are the crops that the farmers are growing in Cyprus now?
Citrus fruits.
Animal feed, mostly.
Animal feed, mostly.
In what form, like corn or soy?
Oat and wheat and barley.
Okay, so a hemp would fit well into a rotation.
Amazingly, it will fit amazingly. And as we said, Cyprus had a long history, so it's not so strange, it's not so foreign.
All right, well, you are the pioneers of hemp in Cyprus, right? And it's an honor to meet you.
They still grow hemp in the greenhouses for extraction process. So they export directly outside.
For the industrial use, we haven't seen it yet.
For outdoor industrial use, it never happened.
So let's hope that we will be able to bring back with us new input and see how we can implement it. And under divine grace and in perfect ways for the highest good of all.
Amen to that. Let's keep in touch, and I would love to sort of follow your progress of bringing hemp back to Cyprus.
Thank you for giving this opportunity to us to share a bit with you.
Yeah, and I'll publish links to your business on the website too.
Thank you.
Okay, it was nice talking to you. Thank you.
One thing I haven't mentioned, maybe it would be worth mentioning. So as we said, our background is we're wild grafters.
Wild crafters?
Basically.
Tell me what that is.
So
without the land.
So
without land?
So basically what we do is we are licensed to collect wild herbs.
Okay.
And then accordingly make tinctures, natural remedies.
Okay.
So, and we've noticed that it started becoming more scarce and scarce because more development was taking place, more buildings. And so putting in the pieces of the puzzle together and the things that happened in the last years, all these challenges, I will put it this way. So the solution to all of this is basically hemp. And so I mentioned one of the purposes, which is reinstate hemp for industrial uses. But the other thing is to see in which ways we can best support nature. Right. So, and one of our major success for the young time of our life as a small company was to buy the first piece of land, which is purely for preservation. So it's just for preservation.
Okay, what size, what piece, how big is the land?
No, it's very tiny. Yeah. It's like 720 square meters, but the location of it and the herbs, the wild herbs that are on it, and the fact that we're able to protect the 720 square meters
in the middle of nowhere,
wild nature.
Well, congratulations. That sounds like a major achievement.
Yes, and who knows, maybe one day we will have again in Cyprus a big hemp industry and...
Or the cannabis sativa to become native again, because it used to be in the wild nature before, until 1950s.
Yeah. And then they eradicated it?
Yeah. The locations they used to grow by wild, they destroyed the area. Yeah.
So it was an industry that used to occupy the whole family, and listen to this, especially women. Isn't that interesting?
Yes, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, they say the future is female, so we're coming back around, yeah?
I would say will be the ideal, will be the merging of the one with the other, thus creating the one.
I love it. The divine goddess, the divine God together.
Love you, Eric. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, I'm Daniel Kruse. I'm from Germany. I'm the EHIA president and founder of several companies in the hemp and cannabis sector.
Excellent. And what were some of your goals for this conference coming into it?
First of all, obviously, as EHIA president, I'm very happy that we get up to more than 200 participants again this year after COVID and having only conference calls in the purest meaning of the word. And then slowly but steady increase from 80 to 100 participants to 120 now, finally here in Prague at more than 200 again. Secondly, as the CEO of Symbiotic, the stock-listed holding company in Germany, and now getting to be a pan-European holding, I'm very happy that I was invited to talk about the current developments of legalization in Germany.
Okay. And what's next for you? I know you said you're from Germany, and I hear next year this conference will be in Berlin. What are you looking forward to there?
Yes, actually, I'm very happy as EHIA president, but also as a German entrepreneur, that for the first time we will be in our capital next year in June. So that's thrilling for sure. And like here in Czech Republic, it's the current development in Czech Republic and Germany to have a more modern, a more scientific approach, a risk-based approach on legalization developments, which is very helpful for our industry, not only the cannabis industry, but also the industrial hemp industry. And what I'm doing short term next week, I will be in Berlin already because there's the Mary Jane, the biggest cannabis conference in Germany.
Right, okay. My interest lies mostly in the fiber and grain side of things. So how do you see Europe fitting into the larger industrial hemp space, apart from cannabinoids?
Well, first of all, I'm also coming from the grain side. First real production processes I built for seed, hemp seed production, like dehulling and pressing and so on and so on. Fiber, I got my partners for that. Germany is a little bit behind by hectares, behind France, for example, even considering the size of the countries behind the Baltic states. But I think we have a great chance now after the crisis, COVID, of course, Ukraine war and the macroeconomic effects of that. We have a great chance now through political approaches in Brussels, but also political approaches now in my own country, in Germany, led by wonderful Federal Minister of Agriculture and Food, Cem Özdemir. I think he really wants to push hemp as an industrial raw material forward a lot, big steps. Yeah.
All right, that's good news. All right, well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, danke and auf Wiedersehen.
Okay, danke auch. Ciao.
All right, so Catherine, could you introduce yourself for me?
Hello, Eric. Thanks for welcoming me. I'm Catherine Wilson. I have a hemp consultancy. I have been in the environment sector for 20 years now. I started working with hemp in 2014, simply with my interest of both the health promoting qualities of hemp extracts and the high protein of seeds, but particularly my love of the plant, of how it can be used for making more environmentally friendly and just sound product and materials. I've been a board member of the European Industrial Hemp Association and been vice president for 2 years. Stepped back after 6 years on the front line, so to speak, and I'm now on the EHIA advisory committee with particular focus on material sector and carbon certification.
Okay, yeah, I saw you moderate the carbon credits panel, and I thought that was fascinating. There's a lot of mystery around carbon credits. Can you sort of describe your vision of the future, like once the carbon credit market is fully operational? Like, what does that look like? How would farmers, producers, processors sort of, interface with it?
I think carbon, we would actually call this like a word that's like a poster boy. What it really is that there is money available for the bio-based material sector in form of, shall we say, it's not quite a subsidy, but it is basically money that is available for companies to develop more environmentally friendly products. And so we have two types of credits. We have permanent credits, which is, for example, applicable for the hemp construction industry. When you have hempcrete or hemp insulation materials and you put that into buildings, you expect this building to stand for 100 years. Maybe not in every zone in the US, but generally it is considered to do so. And then you can claim credits for basically the biogenic carbon stored in the building material. And you can sell this to those that need in very simple form. And you have avoidance credits, where you can have a product that has a longevity of 35 or more years, where you're replacing products that maybe use an awful lot more of resources. So, for example, I've recently achieved and managed a project for Hempflux, a very large European hemp company that also produces hemp insulation materials at the Hempflux Building Solutions company. And there we also get avoidance, so-called avoidance credits, because hemp insulation stores carbon. It actually has a negative value. And in comparison to the primarily used insulation materials, such as rock wool or glass wool, you consume a huge amount less energy and resources. And so you can get paid for that difference again. And there are buyers on the international market, on the voluntary international market, that need these. And that is what I now hope to help many more companies with, to get that additional income the sector needs.
All right. And so tell me the name of your hemp consultancy.
It's HIP Services. HIP stands for Hemp Products.
Okay. And people can find you on the internet?
You can find me, Catherine Wilson, on LinkedIn. On the internet, it is hipservices.co.uk with a hyphen. I actually don't have a website because at this point, because we have a lot of banking issues in the UK, and I have lost a few bank accounts, and
because
I have
of your
decided,
affiliation with hemp?
Yes, I have a general consultancy. I'm also a regulatory expert on all issues in the EU with regards to novel foods, and I helped companies with market entries. And this, you can find me, HIP Services.
And so, not to reduce it down too far, but you help hemp businesses get paid for their carbon.
Correct.
All right. Thank you, Catherine. It's great to talk to you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Eric.
Hi, I'm Chris. I work for Ogre Associates, which is a company that helps hemp projects get carbon credit certification so they can generate extra revenue for their positive impact on the world, basically, the planet.
Okay. On my side of the Atlantic, there's a lot of skepticism around carbon credits. Can you give me like a couple of bullet points to sort of reassure people that it's a real thing and it's coming?
So basically, skepticism is legitimate to a large extent. Mistakes were made, and it is about turning this far west of a market into something respectable. Progress is being made. The SEC started supporting quite recently. They issued, I think it was about two months ago, regulations for the carbon market. In the EU, things are quite advanced as well, with the CRCF, the Commission body, kind of setting some rules. And as the dust settles, we're seeing what the markets will be tomorrow, what the requirements are. What you need to understand is that it is a mechanism to get money from the polluters to the people who actually try and make a difference. So it is, in one way, a polluter-payer mechanism, which is a net positive if it's done in the right ways. The main word would be transparency. We need more transparency, for one, because that will avoid mistakes, as some have been made, but also because value comes from trust on the carbon markets. And if you're able to show that your measures are tangible and that your credits weren't sold elsewhere, this is how you garner interest and you create value for your credits, and you can actually monetize your positive impact.
Okay. During the panel discussion, I saw you, there were, I think, 4 ways that you can earn carbon credits. Can you sort of briefly go over those?
Absolutely. So there is what they call permanent carbon capture, which is any project that can ensure that the carbon that you pulled out of the atmosphere stays sequestered for over 1,000 years. Not many projects meet that requirement, but we're getting there. Usually they're very expensive. They're tech-based projects.
Do you need a time machine to test that?
No, it's done in labs. It's projections. So at that length, things are not that reliable. But anything that is beyond the 100 years is already quite good, because this is when we'll have reached peak carbon and emissions are expected to decrease. So having this circularity where you can basically breathe in carbon, then remit it in 100 years, breathe it back in, at a point where emissions are going to get lower, is going to be very helpful. Yeah. Which brings us to the second category, which is what they call long-term capture, which is anything between 100 and 1,000 years. So that's a pretty large scope as well. Yeah. But if you can, as I said, reach 100 years, it's a pretty big achievement already. Then you have short-term carbon capture, which is 35 years and plus, so between 35 and 100. All those were created by the IPCC, by the way. Those are the IPCC metrics that are based, as I said, on our expected emissions and requirements, so you can evaluate your contribution faced with needs. Mm-hmm. And the last one is soil carbon capture, and it is a bit tricky. The time thing is a bit different, because basically if you adopt sustainable or regenerative farming, carbon gets captured in your soil. Yeah. Talking a lot. Yeah. As long as you maintain those practices, the carbon sink will remain and it will increase. However, if you change practices from one day to the next, all the carbon will be re-emitted in a matter of months, weeks, depending on how badly you...
As soon as you plow your fields, pretty much.
There you go. So no-tilling is one of the main things. Yeah. But so it is more based, rather than measure like the other ones, on commitment. So a farmer needs to commit to sustain those renewable practices for a number of years, and the debate is ongoing to see whether it's going to be 5 or 10. But that's the time frame we'd be looking at.
All right. And tell me a bit about where you're from and sort of your connection to hemp in your home place.
Well, I'm from Paris, which doesn't show, but I am. Still live there. And I come from the carbon markets, and I've moved to hemp from that perspective. So initially what I was trying to do is I identified what we call hard to decarbonize sectors, the ones where there's very little, if any, progress in our transition, and try to understand why that was. And my observation was that usually they are what we call low margin sectors, which means that you have to sell massive volumes to make money, which incidentally also means that when you come in with this new bright idea, because you're not quite at scale yet, you might not be taken seriously and be left aside in some kind of a niche and never reach the core of the market. This is why things don't change. So what I was trying to achieve was to find funds so that those great ideas can actually outcompete the products that are existing today and that are very problematic from an environmental point of view. And doing that, I've done that for about 5 years. About 2.5 years ago, a good friend of mine who works in this consultancy called Ogio Associates tell me, oh, you know what, hemp actually ticks many boxes in that transition, and so many products can actually replace concrete, plastics that are based on hydrocarbons.
Well, hempcrete cannot replace concrete because of the structural aspect.
Well, that's That is about to change. A couple of companies, one in Spain and one in Germany, that just finished raising funds, are issuing the first blocks, hempcrete blocks, that are load-bearing. So my belief is that the whole industry will transition to higher quality hempcrete blocks at the end of the day, and it's going to become that direct competitor that it isn't today.
Okay, I like your optimism. What's at stake if the carbon credit market doesn't come to fruition?
Oh, Jesus. Well, see, so I was mentioning the overabundance of carbon in the atmospheric pool. What we're seeing right now is the beginning of melting ice caps, raising sea levels, changes in rain patterns, loss of arable land. That will only be strengthened because if we don't incentivize one way or another, either reducing emissions or having sinks pulling carbon out of the atmosphere and storing it somewhere where it's less problematic, because carbon's not a bad thing in itself. Right. It's the building block of life and everything.
Well, yeah, we're made of it.
Absolutely. Right. That and water, mainly.
And stardust, and now a little bit of plastic.
Yeah, I'm told so. Yeah. Less enthusiastic about the plastic, but stardust is good.
Focus on the stardust. Yeah.
We read
a little bit of
book.
magic. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
But so basically, not only do we need to stop our emissions, but once we've reached that point whereby we are net zero, so all the abatable emissions have been cancelled, and all the unabatable emissions, what remains, heating in winter, building those electric vehicles or bikes, all that comes with a cost carbon-wise. You need to be able to offset those emissions with carbon sinks. But even once we're at net zero, there is still an overabundance of carbon in the atmosphere. So you still need to go on and extract the carbon that has been emitted over the last, say, 100 years. And carbon markets are here to finance those carbon sinks, so that once we reach net zero, we can reduce the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere, because otherwise the problems that we're seeing today are just going to maintain. They're just not going to worsen, right?
How important is agriculture to our survival as a species?
Beyond food?
Yeah.
Beyond food, okay. Well, today agriculture is a net emitter of carbon, but it can change. It would actually have also positive impacts on the economy because it create more jobs. I mean, there are many sides of it. To be one of the main actors of our transition towards a more circular and healthy, say greener production model in society. At the moment, it is odd that we are starving the very people who are keeping us alive by providing us food, by providing building materials, you name it. Value hasn't been put on the right sectors, I believe. But with that contribution to the fight against climate change, they might get a bit of extra revenue, and their action can be actually monetized and valorized at the end of the day.
All right, Chris, merci.
A pleasure.
Maciej Kowalski, founder and CEO of Kombinat Konopny from Poland.
And how is your expo going so far?
Doing fine, especially that I'm already after my presentation, so now it's all relaxed and just talking to people and listening to others.
What was your presentation about?
15 minutes of 15 years of life, basically presenting our seed to yarn vertically integrated company, where we are actually doing it the other way around than the most other companies, specializing and doing great in one single area and doing it at large scale. We're doing small scale, but getting all the value chain and all the steps from the seeds, growing, harvesting, decorticating, refining it, cottonizing it, blending it with other natural materials, spinning it into yarn, and actually weaving it into what we hope to introduce to the market as hemp denim pretty soon.
Excellent. And you and I spoke on a long interview a few months ago, or maybe that was last year. Anyway, so who were some of the people that you met here that you found fascinating, or some of the ideas? What did you enjoy from the conference?
Well, truth be told, I know most of the people in the industry already, so it's more of a get-together than... I see there's like 200 people, right? They're coming from many different areas. Some of them are here for decades. Some of them just came in and trying to look for new ideas. I recall my EHIA conference 2014, I guess, so 10 years ago, when I was arriving as a let's do some hemp business after being 10 years, being the...
You were a journalist?
I was a journalist. I was running a hemp newspaper in Poland, and then we were writing about hemp being such a great business opportunity, but we didn't actually really felt it, believed in it. It was like the idea of to do something about hemp other than smoking it. And then actually going to Cologne, it was happening in Germany back then. That was my first interaction with real hemp industry. I never could have imagined to be the speaker 10 years later and actually an accomplished businessman in the area. So that's, for me, is like a going back in time and seeing all the newcomers right now, what they are going to be in 10 years' time. That's fascinating.
Well, you're giving hemp journalists hope everywhere, so thank you. There is a future for hemp journalists. Yeah. So what's next for you from here? You're coming to the States this summer.
Yeah, I'm definitely attending Steve Grove's field day in August, and then staying all the way until Cornell University happening in September. So I'll be traveling all around Northeast, broadly speaking Northeast, from Pennsylvania to Missouri to North Carolina. So if there's anyone willing to show me what they're doing, to exchange ideas, I'm all for it.
Excellent. I'll put your contact info where people can find it, and we'll see you back in the States in a couple of months. There we go.
Yeah, I hope to visit you in Lancaster as well.
All right. Thank you, Maciej.
Thank you.
All right, Daniel, Caroline, hello. You're from...
Your name, dude. Sorry.
Say it again.
I've forgotten your name again.
You forgot my name?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
If you had to guess, what would my name be?
I know it. That's a tricky one.
Don't tell him.
Friendly.
Friendly? That's not a name.
Sorry, man. I don't know.
I thought the Brits were supposed to be funny.
Stuart.
I like that. All right.
He's got that wrong, haven't you?
What's your name again?
No.
It's Eric.
Eric.
And I may have told you this before, but I studied in Plymouth, UK for a semester 30 years ago.
Yes.
And when the other students were like, "Oh, your name's Eric?" That's a nice name. Only postmen and fathers are called Eric here.
So. Yeah, and accountants.
Oh, good. Well, I'm neither. Well, I am a father. I'm not a postman nor an accountant. Anyway, how's your EHIA going?
It's been great, thank you. I was just saying to another member of the media that this is our fourth year back, and it's been probably the best one yet, actually. The panels are brilliant, the conversation and the talks are brilliant, and also with this new format of the tabletop room, you get to really see the people who are behind processing seeds, CBD and industrial hemp in Europe and beyond. So yeah, it's brilliant.
Okay. And then Caroline, how are you finding the city of Prague?
I love the city of Prague. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's actually, I mean, most of it's just mainly restaurants and bars, but we love that anyway, being Brits.
Yes, that's what we do.
But it's beautiful. Yeah, no, we've really enjoyed it. I think it's a perfect place to have it here, really. Yeah, we loved it.
Good. And then just elevator pitch of what it is. Tell me what you do in the hemp space.
Sure. So we're a family-run business. It's Tatum from the UK. We're based in Yorkshire, in England.
That's where they have the pudding, right? You got pudding there?
Yeah. We're famous for carding machines and Yorkshire pudding. We manufacture decortication equipment, non-woven equipment for bast fibres and natural fibres, and also other synthetic fibres. But we're here today to talk about our decortication machinery for the processing of industrial hemp into fibre and hurd and shiv.
Excellent. All right. Well, it's great to see you both. Thank you.
See you, man. Thank you.
I work for Lancaster Farming Newspaper. I publish a weekly podcast about industrial hemp.
Yeah.
I live in Pennsylvania. I don't know. What else do you need to know? Do you want to know anything else?
No,
I have 2 children. I have a dog and 2 cats. All right.
Okay.
Frederick.
Oh. Do they use hemp for their
litter?
Litter.
They have. I&D Hemp is sending me some, and it's great.
Very good.
It's wonderful. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you both for joining me. Frederick, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I'm Frédéric Vallier. I live in Brussels, and I'm the Secretary General of the Federation of International Hemp Organizations since December 2022.
Okay, and I understand that you are passing the torch to Maren Krings, who is also here with us.
Exactly. This is my last meeting for FIO, and I'm happy to hand the torch, as you said,
to Maren, who is very knowledgeable in hemp, but I will let her present herself.
Good to see you again, Eric. We've known each other for a while.
A couple of years now, yeah.
Yeah. So my name is Maren Krings. I'm born in Germany. Tend to say I live in Austria, and I'm burdened now with this fantastic torch, and I'm really ready and excited to launch into this next chapter of hemp.
All right. So over the past 2 years, well, can you sort of describe the work that you've done over the past 2 years and maybe the goals that you set out to accomplish, and if you have accomplished those, and then sort of what directives you're passing on to Maren?
Well, you know, it's always complex when you launch a new federation to know where to go and to set the objectives. So what we did, and I must say I didn't do it on my own. We have a fantastic group of directors who are members of national and continental associations of hemp. So the first objective was to get recognized at the global level. So I'm more a specialist of international organization than of hemp myself, but I went out to the UN and started the accreditation of FIO in the UN system. So we are now a member of the UNEP coalition on sustainable building, for example, to support the development of hemp materials and to allow better regulations at the global level to support these materials. But I also went to the COP on climate based on other missions that I have, but that was the occasion to speak about hemp as a carbon stock and as a sustainable crop at global level.
Sorry to interrupt, but how was hemp received at the COP conference?
Very well, I must say, but it's still very discreet, because it was the first time that someone was there talking about hemp. So everybody said, "Oh, wow, that's fantastic!" And many people don't know the potentialities and the extraordinary coverage that hemp can bring as a sustainable crop. So it's always well received, but we need to explain what we can do with hemp, where it comes from, that it's a very old crop that was probably one of the first one cultivated by mankind, and all this has been forgotten in the years in the 20th century. So we have to build things again and again.
That's why we need storytellers like Maren, right?
Exactly. And that's why she's the best one to take the torch now, because I kind of set the foundations, and she will, I'm sure, develop it much further.
Can you maybe tell me some goals you have for her?
Well, getting more members, because we need more members in the organization, and make the story happy and optimistic.
And then what's your plan for happiness and optimism?
Wow, what a torch handover. I love it. Well, thank you, Frederick, for what you've established, because that's incredible, because that legal space is so needed. And as Frederick just said, that mix of education has to be done in a way of storytelling, because these hemp stories are very, very loaded with images, but at the moment, unfortunately, still with images that put us in a past of prohibition, of uncertainty, of is this a drug, is this something else? And I think images in that case can actually speak quicker than many words that we usually have to lose and waste when we're trying to go over and over the same topic, because for us it's like a mantra and it can get very tiring. And I think my goals really are to take that on, what you've established, and hopefully be able to develop that further. Bringing new members to the association will obviously be a main goal, which I think I'm in a good space, having a pretty wide and vast network over the entire globe through all of the travels and trips I've done, spending lots of time with people on the ground and also nurturing very trustful relationships. But at the same time, I would say I may come in, as I am a photographer, author, and storyteller, with this rather unusual angle to a political space where some will probably say I'm misbehaving, and I hope that most will still consider my misbehaving as a fruitful way of engaging in a story where we need to change the narrative. And changing that narrative, that's going to be the big mission.
I love that. So membership, are your members other organizations, or are they individuals, or are there different levels of membership?
Yeah, well, there are different levels of membership. There are the big continental federations who are members. EHIA is a member, CHTA in Canada, NIHC in the US, the Australian Association as well. But we also have individual companies who can participate and be members. We have smaller associations from the Texas growers, for example, are a member, or Kentucky growers, and we have the possibility even for individuals who want to join to be a member. Okay. So it's quite broad, and the idea is also to bring in FIO experts, stakeholders who don't even have to be members to contribute and participate in the different committees. So it's very open, and we want it to be very open.
Actually, I would love to tie on to that, because this is actually how my career with FIO started, is when Frederick and I met at the United Nations in Geneva. You asked me if I want to join the Sustainability Committee, and now speaking from that completely different angle, it was a very fruitful experience to be in these committees that are not necessarily overloading you with work that needs to get done, but it's also a very interesting space because you have experts coming together that can talk in a safe space, so to speak, and still drawing from the immense knowledge that's already accumulated within the federation. And they come with their own
expertise, which
exactly.
and experience. If you are working in a university in let's say Southeast Asia, and you share with someone coming from Brazil or from the state or from France or whatever, that creates a momentum of exchange where the confrontation also brings a lot.
And I also think that what's super important is, since we have globally such an uneven, let's say legislative ground, this exchange is so vital, because there's one thing of knowing what the legislation of a country is, and then there's the other thing on how is it implemented in the real life of these people working on the ground. So these differentiations can also be buffered quite a bit when people come together in these spaces, have that opportunity to really have exchange on both levels. This is what's happening, and this is what is said that should have happened or should be happening.
Yeah, and sometimes some discussions can be difficult. For example, we did a position on GM hemp, on genetically modified seeds, and the perspectives are very different from the different regions of the world. But what was interesting is to get all these feedbacks to build a position that was adopted by everyone at the end, and I think it had a big effect on the hemp world or hemp community. So that's the kind of thing also we want to do.
Excellent. So what's next for you? Are you going to stay in the hemp world?
No, unfortunately, I will not stay in the hemp world, but I will still be available
as a resource for
to support Maren and the team, but I will be going in another international organization that has nothing to do with it.
All right, well, I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
Frederick, we're not going to let you off the hook just that easy. Yeah, I'm very, very happy you're still staying in the background with your immense knowledge and support.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One last quick question. What are the benefits of membership? Why should people join FIO?
Well, like I said, it's a way to get together and exchange, learn, It's a way to support also, of course, the work that FIO is doing, because without member, we want to keep to be independent. If we want to talk to states, to international agencies, it's important that we don't rely on public money, but we rely on our members to support the work. So for the members, it's also a way to get in contact with potential commercial partners, but it's not the main thing. I think it's a way for them to really get a grip on what's at stake for hemp in the world, and contribute to the development of hemp globally.
Excellent. I will put a link to your organization on the show page for this episode. And Maren, as you move into your new role, I offer you an open invitation to our show. Come talk to me as you see fit, okay?
Fantastic. Let's do that when first fruits are being harvested.
I love it. I look forward to it. Thank you both.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, there you go. There's my collection of interviews with Europeans at the European Industrial Hemp Association's conference and expo in Prague last week. I will be back soon with part 2 of my Prague coverage, and we'll hear from lots of Americans and Canadians and Australians and people who aren't necessarily Europeans. Okay, so that does it for me. I got to get out of here. This is a long episode compared to my normal shows. My name is Eric Herlock. I am the senior digital editor at Lancaster Farming Newspaper, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world. Check us out online at lancasterfarming.com, where you can also find all of the links to all of the organizations and people that were on the show today, plus links to the news nugget stories and a bunch of video, and I will probably put up the complete audio of my conversation with those kids in Prague. Until next time, I'll see you in the newspaper. This episode of the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast is copyright 2024 by Lancaster Farming Newspaper, part of the Steinman Communications family. Today's show was written and recorded, edited and produced by Eric Herlock. The music you hear throughout the show is courtesy of Tinbird Shadow, including that dreamy piano landscape thing, which was actually me sitting in the hotel in Prague playing the piano early in the morning waiting for the breakfast buffet to open.
Industrial hemp